We all think about it. What happens when AI gets good enough to do my job? Well, it turns out losing your job, that might just be the start of a much, much bigger problem, one that could fundamentally break our society. We're going to dive into what some thinkers are calling the intelligence curse.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. Humanity, right now, is at this massive fork in the road. And according to the source material we're looking at today from Luke Drago and Rudolf Levine, the choices we're making about AI, like in the next few years, these aren't just about the next cool app. We're talking about decisions that could define the entire future of civilization.
And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi movie plot. No, researchers have found what is basically a new Moore's law for AI. They've discovered that the length of tasks AI can actually pull off is doubling every 7 months. Think about that. That's an insane exponential curve, and it's happening right now.
All right, so this brings us to our first section, a new kind of storm. And this is all about how AI is becoming more capable than humans at economically valuable work.
So, what's the end game here? For the big players, OpenAI, Google, all of them, it's a little thing called Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI. And what is that? Well, it's a system designed to outperform us, humans, at pretty much most economically valuable work. And let's be clear, this isn't some side hustle for them. It is the explicit #1 goal of what's become a trillion-dollar arms race.
But really, how seriously should we be taking all this? Well, there's a great quote from technologist Anton Aschenbrenner that really hits it home. He says, "That doesn't require believing in sci-fi, it just requires believing in straight lines on a graph." I mean, he's basically saying, just look at the data. The trend lines are screaming that a massive, massive disruption is coming.
So what does this disruption actually look like on the ground, in the real world? This section is called The Incredible Shrinking Pyramid, and it's a way to visualize the systematic replacement of white-collar jobs.
Okay, so picture a typical company today. It's basically a pyramid, right? You've got tons of entry-level folks at the bottom, a few managers in the middle, and the C-suite way up at the top. The whole system works because new people come in at the bottom and, hopefully work their way up.
All right, now watch this. Stage 1 begins. The AI gets good enough to handle those simple, routine, entry-level tasks. Now, companies don't need to start firing people right away. The first thing that happens, the really subtle change, is they just kind of stop hiring as many new people. Okay, then things get more serious. As the AI gets smarter, it starts climbing that corporate ladder. It's not just for the interns anymore. And this is where we hit stage 3. Suddenly, there's this intense pressure to compete, and companies have to start making cuts. Layoffs begin.
And it just keeps going. Before you know it, we're at stage 5. The AI is now so capable it can handle almost all the brain work in the company. The pyramid we started with, it's basically gone. All that's left is the C-suite at the very top, giving high-level directions to these vast, powerful AI systems.
And that leads us to the final, kind of mind-blowing stage. Eventually, for some companies, the AI will get better at strategy than even the top executives. And at that point, well, the most efficient org chart might just have nobody on it. 0 human employees, just a box, cranking out pure, automated value.
So what does this incredible shrinking pyramid actually mean for you and me? The consequences are pretty stark. And this isn't just a theory. It's not a thought experiment. Economic models are already predicting that as AI takes over more and more tasks, the slice of the economic pie that goes to human labor, our wages, it could just totally plummet.
Okay, so this is the really crucial point of the whole argument. Job loss is just the first domino to fall. It kicks off a much deeper, more dangerous problem that the authors call the intelligence curse.
So here's the core idea of the intelligence curse. It's pretty simple, actually. Once the most powerful players, we're talking governments, megacorporations, once they can get pretty much everything they need from AI, they lose their economic reason to invest in people, right? I mean, why would you fund schools or build infrastructure or have strong social safety nets if human productivity just isn't that important to your bottom line anymore?
To really get this, the paper brings up a powerful analogy from economics. It's called the resource curse. And you may have heard of this. It's this weird paradox where countries that are super rich in natural resources like oil often end up with worse outcomes for their citizens. And why is that? Well, it's because the government gets all its money from a hole in the ground, not from taxing a healthy, productive population. Their interests and the people's interests just diverge.
And the parallel here is, well, it's pretty striking. In the 20th century, the source of wealth that was disconnected from people was the oil rig. In the 21st century, it could be these massive AI data centers, a source of incredible power and wealth that, just like the oil, doesn't need to rely on or invest in the general population to function. Think about how our society works right now, the basic social contract. The powerful actors, they need people. They need us to create value, to buy things, to run the factories. And that need, that's our leverage. It's why we can demand things like better wages or safer conditions, because at the end of the day, our labor is essential.
But with this kind of labor replacing AI, that vital link gets broken, completely severed. Now the powerful actors get their value from AGI, not from us. Our economic relevance starts to fade away. And when that happens, so does our leverage. The whole foundation of our modern social contract could just crumble.
Okay, I know that sounds incredibly bleak, and it is, but the authors are very clear that this future is not guaranteed. It's not inevitable. So let's shift gears and talk about solutions. This next section is called 3 Ways to Break It, how we can choose a different technological path.
So that's the big question, right? Are we just doomed to this dystopian future? The authors of this paper argue absolutely not. They completely reject this idea that technology is some unstoppable force of destiny. We have agency here. We get to choose what kind of AI we build and, more importantly, what kind of world we want to live in.
And to help us make those choices, they lay out a really clear 3-step framework. You can think of it like a roadmap for steering this whole AI revolution towards a future that actually empowers people instead of replacing them. So here are the 3 pillars of that framework. First is AVERT. This is all about building smart guardrails to prevent the worst-case scenarios, keeping us safe without killing innovation. Second is diffuse. This one's crucial. It means getting AI tools into the hands of everyone, using it to boost our own skills, to augment what we can do, not just replace us. And finally, democratize. This is about rethinking and reshaping our institutions to make sure they're always focused on human well-being, not just chasing automated efficiency.
And that really brings us to the final, critical question, the one we all have to think about. AI is, without a doubt, writing the source code for our future society. So the question we're left with is, who gets to be the programmer? Who do we let write that code? Is it going to be just a handful of people in a few labs, or will all of us have a say in the kind of world we're building together?